Just to clear things up, the title mortician probably isn't the correct terminology for my profession, what I'm in, whereas mortician would be an older term and probably used more in America for somebody in the funeral business, so funeral directors, but more so embalmers. My title would be an anatomical pathology technician, or pathology technician as we're just called. I'm now a senior pathology technician, and I work in a hospital mortuary environment doing autopsies, as opposed to a mortician who would work in a funeral home in the embalming theatre. So yeah, I begun in the funeral home in Jersey and the Channel Islands in the very early 90s. Started off as a hearse driver, but my inquisitiveness, I started to pop my head in the embalming theatre of all places. And the chap that was the embalmer at the time realised again how interested I was and started to show me a few techniques. So it was decided there and then that they would pay for all my training, which was 2 years in Salisbury in England, done over a 2-year period at Sheila Dick's School of Embalming. So of course, being in Jersey, I had to fly back over the 2 years, but it definitely paid off and got a high qualification in embalming eventually and became the chief embalmer in the funeral home as the other guy retired. From there, of course, I had a connection with the mortuary in the hospital where I met the pathology technician. Again, this thing, I didn't know there was such a thing. Got to know him, he told me all about it, and again, fate took a turn. And about a year later, he says, we need to take on a trainee pathology technician, would you be interested? So of course, I jumped at the chance. That came with 4 years training and study, but it's done in-house training, so you're working and studying at the same time. But again, being in Jersey, which is so small, I had to go to Southampton University Hospital over for what should have been a 4-year period. So I would do 3 months on, 3 months off. At the end of the first 2 years, I did my certificate and got a high honours. So they offered me the chance to cut my diploma down to the 1 year as opposed to the 2, which I did and got honours again. And that went from there. So then I continued that, did my job in Jersey Mortuary as the pathology technician under my senior. I then was offered a chance and became a member of the United Nations Forensics team. Did a short spell in Kosovo in the late 90s after the War Crimes Tribunal was going on. And eventually, because of housing restrictions in Jersey, and I just got married to my Irish wife, we decided we needed to move away to start a family. So we decided to move to Dublin, where I applied for a job in St Vincent's University Hospital, where I am now. And I've been here for the last 17 years, and approximately 3 years after I started here, I took over and became senior pathology technician. And now I basically run the mortuary and do the autopsies. My average day would be to come in each morning, and unfortunately people are going to be passing away in the hospital ward level and A&E as well. They would come into our care. So we need to ascertain whether this patient requires an autopsy or post-mortem examination. Basically, post-mortem just means examination after death. The autopsy examination is the physical part of what we do. If they don't require an autopsy, that's when the team are happy to issue the death certificate. I mean, they know what the patient's died of, they can be released straight to the family. In our case, if an autopsy is required, we liaise with the coroner's office, who would then give us an authorisation to carry out the autopsy. Before that's done, an identification has to be done, which includes a family member, usually next of kin, and the guards. Not because there's something wrong or untoward, it's just a liaison between the coroner and the family. They identified that this is definitely the correct patient, so that we know we're doing the correct autopsy on the right person, and then we can continue. So basically then we can continue with the examination, myself and my consultant histopathologist, which includes examining all the organs of the body. Now, sometimes we can see a cause of death immediately, other times it may be down to the consultant pathologist taking samples of tissue and looking under the microscope, etc., and doing his further tests there. Now, another thing, occasionally we may be required to retain an organ for further examination. It could be relative to the cause of death, and we need to do further investigation. This would have been explained to the family, who signed a form to say it's been explained to them, and then I would liaise with the family after autopsy to explain whether we did or didn't have to keep an autopsy. So that would be my other job after the post-mortem examination. I suppose anyone interested in this kind of career, It is done in a grading system, as most hospital jobs are these days. So, for example, as a trainee, you would come in at the lower end on grade 1, where you start. Now, going back to a UK, where you would do all your exams anyway, even for Ireland, that's generally, if I remember correctly, between 20 and 30, can be at the lower end, but you've got to think of your future career. So as you progress and qualify, so your certificate, then your diploma, of course your grades will go up to around a grade 4, and then if you're lucky enough to become a senior, such as I am here, of course your grading will then jump up again. Misconceptions about what I do, mainly because of media portrayal, I suppose, but also people rarely meet someone like myself who do this job and then are very surprised. But I suppose the biggest thing is everyone assumes if you're working in this business surrounding death that you're all very strange and weird people, very dark clothes and very quiet. So people are always very surprised when they know what I do, because they know me as this personable, I'm a people's person, I'm usually the joker of the pack when we're out. So people are very so I think most technicians I know are all like me. We're very personable. I think that helps you in this kind of career. But no, we're definitely not these strange characters that you see on TV, black makeup and black clothes, going around miserable all day.